It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, May 8th, 2012. Thanks for coming in early. Welcome to Dart Talk, everybody.
This guy looks so good in a headset. I want an introduction.
Right? All movement is bad. All movement is bad. Movement is what kills darters. Okay, we had to add that in there. Once again, everybody, welcome to Dart Talk. Mystery Mark here.
How's it going?
You made it to the movie. You made it to the pre-show. How'd that work for you?
It worked pretty well, actually.
Watch me go nuts.
Right. Sure.
We had some technical difficulties again. I got cables that 1 week they work, the next week all of a sudden they're on the fritz. I don't understand
tech support got their raise, so they're a little upset.
Yeah, tech support was busy playing like a schizophrenic. I fell victim, and everybody, I'm sure this has happened to everybody, but I fell victim to imperfect darts in Cleveland over the weekend. So we could talk about that. We have some results. We have results from Cleveland and also from the Prince Edward Island Open. There was the first NFDC or NDFC tournament. They had a tournament in Newfoundland in Canada over the weekend. So I'll try to get the results for that next week. And we're kind of winging it. As always. Well, we had a Texas correspondent all ready to tell us about the Bullathon that happened on Saturday. But
how'd they do?
They did good. They did. They fell short, but they threw an awful lot of bulls. I heard they wore out 4 boards.
Really?
Just wearing out the bullseyes. So I don't know. I couldn't follow it.
Did you talk to anybody, though? Were they happy with how they performed? Or were they...
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw some of the posts. I mean, I don't know how much money, if they made their fundraising goal or not. We'll have to, check on that. But it seems to me that they did awfully well. And then I heard through the grapevine, because I have peeps, our East Coast, one of our East Coast correspondents told me that in England or somewhere in the UK, they had a team trying to break the record at the same time.
On the same day?
Sounded like it.
Really?
I have no idea who it was, and they ended up, they fell short too, but they got a little closer. And it was somebody with the East Coast correspondent was asking me, are you going to try it?
Right.
Because, we were talking on the show about how much fun it would be, and I'm like, I'm thinking about it. Just because it just seems like it would be such a fun thing to do.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, if you could put a team together, why wouldn't you try it? I mean, everybody, it's just like anything else. Why wouldn't anybody give it a shot?
Yeah, that's interesting. People calling me. It's funny. It's like
you don't want to go in the chat room.
Well, no. I mean, I was talking to Sharon Butler, and she's sending me some texts because her boy was playing in the youth events in Cleveland, right? And so he's got like some nickname for me that she was sending me texts assuring me that it wasn't anything derogatory. It has to do with some cartoon he watches. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But I'm getting like totally distracted here. But she wanted to talk about something, and I'm like, well, I can talk to you in 20 minutes. And she's like, well, how about at 7:30? I'm like, I do the show at 7:30. What are you calling me at 7:30 for? So I don't know.
Is she supposed to be listening?
Well, yeah.
Or watching,
one would
for
hope.
that matter?
I don't understand why everybody's life doesn't revolve around this show, because mine sure does.
I do.
Yeah, well, I don't even know. I mean, I forgot to take my hat off. I'm wearing a hat. So I like this hat.
Are you not used to wearing a hat?
I don't think I've worn a hat on the show.
Oh.
Yeah, we had some comments about you. We got a lot of great feedback on the show in Cleveland. The Cleveland Extravaganza was held over the weekend in somewhere south of Cleveland, Middleburg Heights or something like that. And it was a new venue that they hadn't used before, and a very well run tournament. Everything pretty much ran on time. The turnout to me looked like it was low, but I talked to the tournament people, and they're like, "No, it's about like last year. We're going to break even. The entry fees will take care of the payouts and everything." So they seem pretty happy.
That's good.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, we did our dartboard rankings, and the number one dartboard was the Mueller's.com banded board.
Right.
What do you think they had there?
Let me guess.
Okay.
The Mueller.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool. So they had good boards, and it wasn't, picking darts up off the floor all weekend because they had round wire boards. So that was I enjoyed that immensely. And the level of play was pretty high.
So the boards were good.
The boards were good.
Not you.
There were some really good Canadian players I'd never seen before. I guess Cleveland's pretty close to Canada now that you think of it. So I don't know how I don't think they swim over. There must be some easy access to Cleveland somewhere. I don't know. There's some bridge
They
somewhere.
rented a bus.
No, there was a guy named Ron Miller was there. He played really good, and he made like a bunch of top fours and stuff. We do have the results. I have all the results from Cleveland, but I do not have the Utes. So we will get we'll do the Ute results next week for Cleveland. And I don't know.
Seems to be a recurring theme.
Yeah, let's remind everyone we're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. I hope everybody had a chance to look at the video on YouTube because I put the opening credits on.
Right.
Right. So I
Turned
figured out
pretty well.
Did you like them?
I did like them.
All right, because I changed them for this week.
Oh. Well, we'll find out if I like the changes.
Well, they're they're going to be a little bit different, but we will have the YouTube thing. You'll probably be up like by about 11 o'clock tonight or something like that. So everybody can take a look at that. And if you subscribe on YouTube, I think it'll send you like an email or something when it's up there, so you don't have to constantly be looking for it and stuff like that. A lot of downloads on the audio last week. Thanks everybody for that. We do appreciate that. Let's do the Prince Edward Island Open results real quick.
We should probably do the disclaimer before we do any results. Don't you think?
Yes. Before I misspeak once again, let's give Angie a rip here.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and post hoc ergo propter hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits. Any remarks resembling anyone living or dead is purely coincidental and in no way represent Mother Earth, Father Time, Aunt Marilyn, Uncle Fester, all organized religions, independent contractors, official friends of the show, the North America Professional Dart Alliance, the Undead, the Grateful Dead, or Sharon D. Butler.
Okay, so we disavow any mistakes.
Of course.
Which, according to some of the touring professionals that were ripping on me in Cleveland, we're making all sorts of mistakes, although they can't back it up. So we're going to have to get to that. And okay, so let's do the Prince Edward Island Open results real quick. I don't know what the turnout was. Mixed doubles, since it's Canadian, we'll say joint third instead of top four.
However you want to do it.
Does that sound better to you? Would
No.
you rather finish joint third or top four? Does it?
Joint third sounds good, I guess. Yeah, sure. Why
I don't
not?
think it's any more money.
Right.
Anyway, okay, so the mixed doubles at the Prince Edward Island Open. Joint third, Mike Roberts, Shirley Hickox, Ronnie Williams, and Tammy Perry. Second place, Debbie Lewis Christmas and Carter Mill. And the winners, Cindy Veith and Jerry Miles. In the men's singles, joint third, Steve Vautour, Carl Smith. Second place, Carter Mill. And the winner, Brian Sear. In the women's singles, joint third, Darlene McLeod, Melvina Pasher. Second place, Carmel Pasher. I'm wild guess that they're related. And the winner, Tammy Perry, in the women's singles. In the men's doubles, joint third, Carter Mill and Chris Steiger, Joey Gallant and Dwayne Thistle. Second place to Brian Sear and Jerry Miles. And the winners were Jeff Smith and Fred McKinnon. In the women's doubles, joint third, Christina Mill and Terry Affleck, Rayoni Farivia and Melvina Pasher. Second place, Carmel Pasher and Marie McClellan. And the winners were Debbie Lewis Christmas and Darlene McLeod. And in the mixed triples, joint third, Jerry Mauger, Kathy Wood, and Jerry Miles. Marie McClellan, Chris Gatza, and Carmel Pasher. Second place, Cecil Oatway, Judy LaMarche, and Bobby Fougier. And the winners, Jeff Smith, Tammy Perry, and Fred McKinnon. That was the Prince Edward Island Open 2 weekends ago. So well played to all the
Congratulations to
assuming
them.
they're all Canadians there, because I don't know where Prince Edward Island is.
Nor do I. I've heard of it. No idea where it's at.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's in Canada.
One would hope.
So get this. So literally, I got 2 or 3 guys who were ripping me on the stance stuff.
Okay.
Deliberately, eventually I came to the conclusion that they're deliberately taking stuff out of context and then saying I'm wrong. Well, you said this, and I'm like, I didn't say that. What I said was this. And they're like, no, and I'm going to get you on my blog. And I'm like, well, you better not, you better quote me accurately. That's all I say. Because if not, we've got tape.
Yeah, we have it recorded.
No, and he's over there, I took notes and all this other stuff. Okay, fine. I mean, everybody can disagree all they want.
What exactly
I think that's
were they
healthy.
disagreeing about, though? Did they have specifics?
They disagreed on so many things I didn't even know where to begin. They disagreed. One guy was disagreeing about how he was saying if you stand parallel to the line, it's easier to rock forward than if you're facing the board.
Well, I don't see how that's possible.
Exactly.
It's just as easy to rock
Exactly.
forward regardless of where you're standing.
It's hard to rock forward when you're standing sideways because, and he's over there bending his foot. He's like, see, you could do it like this. And I'm just like, are you nuts? Oh, but the priceless one was we were talking about standing 3 inches behind the line, and I was saying how it decreases your margin of error by like 2.5%, right? Literally, at one point, I am standing at a board. They had, the dry erase scoreboards, trying to write a formula to show him what the standard deviation is and why if you're 1 degree off, if you add 3 inches, you're going to miss by more.
Of course.
And he's saying I'm wrong. And then somebody comes up to me. He's like, well, he's a philosophy major. He really doesn't understand,
Math.
science.
Science.
And I'm like, well, come on. So I literally, it just so happened that Q Quenin was there. He's an engineer. And I'm like, can you help me out here and explain standard deviation to this guy? Maybe he'll believe you. So I mean, literally. And then I go play, and I cannot hit the board. So I think somehow my focus got a little out of whack.
Did you get any positives out of the feedback from any of these people, or was it just they were whacked out?
The one consistent feedback that we get on the show is everybody wants to know why you want to remain anonymous. So that's pretty good. People are like, is he always going to wear the hat? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He wants to be anonymous. Let him be anonymous. What do you care? But everybody's curious about you, and, I tell them things. Like I told somebody that you were a famous heart surgeon and that you do this kind of in your spare time and that you don't want a lot of, attention at the hospital.
Well, no wonder why they don't believe us about a stance if you're lying about everything else.
Oh, you're not a heart surgeon?
No.
Did you ever try it?
If I was a heart surgeon, the tech support would have gotten their raise.
Tech support.
There would be enough money in this show for us
I'm
to
pretty
produce
sure.
it better than
I'm
we do.
pretty sure tech support's going to be asking for a raise. I'll tell you that. No, but the feedback was actually really good, and but it's just funny how. The telephone game you play like in grammar school where you get everybody lined up and then the first person whispers a sentence to the second person and then everybody tries to whisper it to everybody and then you see what it ends up with after it goes through about 20 people. Yeah.
That's
well, they had
basically
their own little phone thing going.
It's the grapevine.
So I'm playing the pro singles Friday night. And I'm playing a guy that I know is a good player. I've seen him before. We've played before. And he's got 50 left, 3 darts in his hand, and he parks the double bull. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, wow, it went in. I mean, I would never in my life do that.
Right.
So I made some sort of face because I'm thinking, why on earth does anybody ever do that? because it's a low percentage shot in my never humble opinion. So, okay, nice leg, we go. And I end up advancing. And this is Friday night. Saturday, the guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, Steve, I got to ask you." He's like, when I won that leg on the double bull, you kind of made this face. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because, it's a low percentage shot." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And I'm like, "Well," so I grab a marker, I go to the board, and I write in the left-hand column, X1, X2, X3. X1 equals 40, X2 equals 32, X3 equals 36. And I say, look, everybody has, if you look at every double on the board, you have a percentage that you're going to hit it. And for the vast majority of people, the doubles that they're strongest on are 40 and 32 because they just come up the most often. 36, 24, double 8, whatever. I mean, but the two primary,
those are after the fact,
right?
If you...
The two doubles that you're most likely to hit and that you throw at the most often for almost everybody is double 20 and double 16, right?
Right, of course.
So the reason that you don't go for the double bull when you have 3 darts in your hand is that you're going to guarantee yourself 2 darts at your best double, be it
40 or 32. Whatever.
If you hit a single bull, you blow by them all. And now what do? Now you're only going to have
16.
one dart. You're only going to have one dart at the big double instead of a dart at the double bull and a dart, because you got to clean it up, right? If you hit a single bull.
Right.
And most people, when they go for the bull, are at least going to hit a single. So your odds of blowing by all your best doubles increase drastically if you go for the bull, and there's really no reason to do it.
Right.
In my mind, you throw a fat 10 or a fat 18 and you're on your way, right? I tell everybody, especially, like people that are learning to play, throw at the fat 10 so you don't bust it, right? If
I
you go
agree
for
with that.
like if you're on 52, you don't tell a beginner to throw a fat 20 because, muscle memory alone, they'll park it in the triple sometimes, right?
It happens all the time, trust me.
So, I'm over there. And I'm going to do the formula, and then I look, and there's 15 people that are just sort of like looking at me.
All of a sudden.
and then another guy comes, and he's like, "Well, you told that guy that it was a stupid thing to do." I'm like, "I didn't say it was a stupid thing to do. I didn't say anything." So then he's like, "Well, yeah, you did it." So finally I have to get the guy back over and say, "Did I say anything?" He's like, "No, you didn't say anything." I'm like, "You see?" So I was getting it from all sides in Cleveland. It was actually, a lot of fun.
Did he at least get the concept of having 2 darts at your favorite double as opposed to...
Well, yeah. I mean, he's an experienced player, and I was talking to John Kramer about this, and we've talked about some of this stuff before because we'll get to the 82 in a minute.
I was going to ask you about that.
Oh yeah. The 82 just is never going to go away. But we had some fun with it in Cleveland. But I was talking to John Kramer about it, and we both agreed that, if you're comfortable doing something, then that's going to work the best for you. And if you're confident that you want to take out 70 by going for the trip 14 and the double 14, then go ahead and do it.
Right.
But when you calculate percentages, you will find that there's one way that you're going to hit it more often than you will doing it another way, and that's the way that really you should do it. But I do not stand at the line doing algebra, trying to figure out what to throw at, right?
Right.
Because you just, I'll give you a good example. I'm playing 501 doubles, and I'm playing with Jay Barlow, who's a pleasure to play with. He's really, and he's chatty. So literally, there are a couple of matches where our opponents are just standing there, and Jay and I are just yakking. And my girlfriend Jill was there, and she goes up to him. She's like, "Look, you're going to have to say something to them, or they will literally talk for an hour." She was just cracking me up. So anyway, I'm on 119.
All right.
Right? 3 darts in my hand. Go for the triple 19, and what do I hit? Triple 3. And then I'm like, "Oh man!" And I'm like, "Oh wait."
It works
I'm
out.
still alive.
Right.
Trip 20 double bull. I'm like, yeah. But it's kind of weird because the only thing you're thinking is, oh,
you're
yeah,
gonna hit
fun,
the 19.
cool.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts that you have are liable to be detrimental. It's kind of like the point of that little anecdote. So let's run a quick, we'll run a 1-minute commercial, and then we'll come back and bore everybody with the 82s. All right, so
All
we'll
right,
be
we'll get on
we
the
will be
82 subject.
yeah, we'll be right back.
This one's for Jason Smith.
I want to take a moment to talk about Ed Hardy. So many people hate on his clothes and accessories, calling them gaudy or ridiculous. But I love Ed Hardy, and I think people need to learn to appreciate his tattoo-inspired clothing. I mean, I don't know about you, but I used to have the hardest time telling the difference between the douchebags and the non-douchebags. Sometimes I'd even be on a date before I'd realize, ugh, I'm out with another giant tool bag. But that doesn't happen anymore. Not with Ed Hardy on the scene. Now when a guy approaches me and he's got metallic wings on his shirt or studded hearts and skulls and crossbones, I know to run the other direction as fast as I can. It's like someone's made a uniform for all the ass clowns out there. So thank you, Ed Hardy. I love you.
Hi, this is Judy Seneve talking to you from Langton, Ontario, Canada on Dart Talk.
Okay, thank you, Judy, and we're back. I hope the audio's okay. It looks to me like the commercials are running low, and to be honest, we had like some strange technical issues today. So
yeah, they say the video volume is low.
Sorry about that. I don't know if I can try to fix it now, but it'll definitely, I'll clean it up for the podcast, so you guys don't have to worry about that.
So when they all decide to listen to us again.
All right, so here's the deal, right? I have been getting my chops busted now on this 82 for almost a month.
Yeah.
Right? So just to recap, I was on 101, right?
Okay.
I went for the 19 for a very good reason. Through a single,
Right.
I'm on 82 with two darts. I go double bull, double 16, win the leg.
Right.
Right? When the other team is sitting on a double. And Darren Young insists that, you know, when you're, and the way he puts it, when your life is on the line, you're much better going for the 14 than the double bull. And I respectfully disagreed and gave him about 10 reasons why you don't do it that way, and he dismissed them all. So these troublemakers from Columbus, who will remain nameless because I think they live outside Columbus, when we were in Virginia Beach, came up with all these weird things to prove his point. Like, well, you know, just throw it the double bull and he'll throw it the 14. And I'm like, well, that isn't really a fair test. So what, and then it came up again in Cleveland. And so I'm like, well, Darren, here's what we'll do. I'll race you to 10. You got two darts in your hand. We're both, well, we never did it, though. Right. So we got, I'm like, you got two darts in your hand. We're both on 82, and we'll see who takes it out quicker. So he's like, no. I'll tell you what. You throw one dart at the double bull, I'll throw one dart at the trip 14, and we'll see who gets to 10. And I'm like, well, that isn't really going to prove the point.
You still have to hit the second dart.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not really going to prove the point, but okay, fine. And so we did it, and at one point it was like 5-4, and then I started missing, and he beat me like 10-5 or something. And he's like, now you see? And I'm like, that doesn't prove anything. And he's like, well, you know, I'm throwing at a bigger target than you are. And I'm like, well, yeah, you are, but you're not proving your point, although the troublemakers in Columbus are like, well, yeah, see, he schooled you. And he did not. So I don't know. We're going to have to agree to disagree on that. But
then you know,
it just never goes away.
Right. It won't go away, but it still goes back to what you're comfortable with. A little bit, don't you think?
Well, the argument, there's arguments. One of the points that I made to Darren a month ago, and I don't know if I said it on the show, you throw at the bullseye so much more often than you throw at the triple 14. For most people, I'm thinking you're much more likely to hit the bullseye than you will the trip 14. And I said that to Darren in Virginia, where I think it was Virginia Beach. I'm like, how many trip 14s have you even thrown at this weekend? Because I guarantee you've thrown it at least at the bullseye 100 times.
Right.
Because you're playing all this cricket, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
How do trip 14s work in cricket? They don't really they don't really work. So
unless you drop 10.
Yeah, well, even if you drop 10, you're not throwing it to 14.
Oh, no, you're not. You're right.
Yeah, so there used to be, and you can ask the chat room, cricket used to go down, I think, all the way to the 10, and then it used to go down to like the 12 or something, and then they play some strange thing, I don't know, Cincinnati or something. There's some modified cricket that, you know, some people play that involves the 12.
Everything's strange in
Everything
Cincinnati.
down to the 12. Why are you ripping on cities? First you ripped on Cleveland. I like Cleveland.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
You also like throwing it at the double bull with 82 left, and nobody else likes that. So
lots of people, plenty of people said, Steve, don't but
Don't listen to anybody
well,
else.
no. Here's the thing. There were two good points that people made on the 82. I believe it was Ray Carver and somebody else said, look, if there's 2 darts in your hand, why don't you just shoot at the trip 20 and leave 22 and go for the double 11? I mean, you're shooting at the logic that because you're shooting at the trip 20, the whole time, that's the number that you're going to be best at. That's a legitimate point.
sure.
It's an easier switch to go from the trip 20 to the bull than it is to go from the 19 to the bull. And because I was on 101, right, and I chose to go for the 19, okay, I would rather go for the bull than go all the way up to the 20. If I wanted to go for the 20, I'd have started there and left 41 and just went fat 9, double 16, or fat 1, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how talk about like beating a dead horse. I mean, honestly, I don't know how much more of this I can stand. And the stance thing, I mean, guys were demonstrating stuff and like, oh, well, Phil Taylor does this and look, he cocks his foot over to I'm like, no, he doesn't. They're saying Phil Taylor stands on the edge of his right foot. And I'm like, his ankle would have broken 15 years ago if he did that. Don't tell me he does that. What are you? You're nuts. And I think they were just doing it to like watch me go insane.
Get in your head
Yeah, which is
Have
like,
you
let's
flip your
deliberately misunderstand and misquote this guy and see if he will literally spontaneously combust. And I only got about 80% the spontaneous combustion. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave the room. I don't really want to explode in front of all these people and leave you to do the show by yourself. That would be like not fair, right?
Right.
Leave you in the lurch kind of. So we didn't do that. I got a text during the commercial from our East Coast correspondent who, once the show starts is like, hey, I'm listening to the show at my dart match. You want me to call in and talk about the Bullathon? And I'm like, oh, it's too late now because I disconnected Skype. But the Bullathon thing, Dartoid was there, and he was like kind of tweeting every hour what the score was. And it looked to me like they fell off the pace kind of early, but not by much. Like the first hour, they were like maybe 20 off the pace, but then the next hour, then they were like 35 or 40 off the pace. So they kept kind
Decreasing.
of like, yeah, it looked to me like their average was like only like maybe one bull every 3 minutes short or something like that. I mean, so they were close,
Right.
But when I tried to look at it on Justin TV, it said it was off air. So I asked somebody from Cleveland said he watched it for a while, but you couldn't really tell what was going on because I had a lot of questions. I was like, how many people did they have at a time at the line? How many darts did they have in the air every minute? And did you have to wait for the guy to cross the line coming back before you threw again, or could you just throw the minute that they pulled their darts? And what I've heard since is that you can as soon as they pull their darts, you can throw. And I'm like, all right, well then, if everybody takes 10 seconds at the line, you can get 18 darts in the air a minute. That means you only got to hit basically 1 out of 6. Right? So 18 divided by 3 is 6.
Right.
So that means that if you have 6 different people or whatever, if you have 6 people at the line every minute, you only got to hit, what's 1 out of 6? 18%?
Yeah.
You got to be
Sounds
18% on your double bulls after throwing at them for hours. It's not easy, but I think it's doable.
Right.
I think it's doable. So I'm going to give this some
something
more
you might
thought.
be interested in.
Well, for one, we should have the world record here.
Right. But
I mean,
I like the way they did it, though. Set it up with a charity.
Absolutely.
Make it meaningful for a whole different bunch of reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have to I'll give this some more thought. I'm really seriously thinking about it, though. I'm thinking that it could be like such a cool way to promote the sport.
The show.
I mean, no, not the show.
I'm just kidding.
Well, we could talk. We could talk about it on the show and give it some attention. I mean, like we talked about the Texas, the Texas. They're calling themselves Team USA, which, I don't know. We got too many Team USAs running around. For one, I mean, and we're going to have the biggest soft tip tournament is the NDA, which is a soft tip league. And I guess what they do is they have some sort of international team event at their tournament, and they pick their team based on who finished where. So, like, I saw a bunch of posts about the people that are going to be on Team USA for the NDA tournament next year. So we'll try to get some of them on the show and talk about it. But I don't know how they're picking some of these teams. I've never seen, like, hey, come here and try out for Team USA. I mean, the ADO does it, in a relatively organized fashion, but there aren't that many spots, and every other year, half the spots are based on your year-long record. They take your top 12 singles finishes and then give you points, and then whoever finishes, the top 2 guys are in, and then you have to go and play
for
the other 2 spots.
Right.
And then when they do the America's Cup, they just play for them. So at least you earn your spot. They're not just awarded based on good looks
finishes.
or and to be honest, there's a lot of guys that don't go to as many tournaments as other people that are, to my mind, very capable of winning.
Right.
Just because you go to 3 times as many tournaments as anybody else doesn't mean you're better. It just means you go to more tournaments. So that's why, I've never really been comfortable with the ADO rankings, because of the way it's structured. And we're going to get the ADO on here at some point. We'll get Chris Helms and address a bunch of the ADO questions that people have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had Buddy on at the end of last year, and it was kind of a farewell address because he'd been president for quite a while. And it was just kind of his, State of the Union on his way out kind of thing. So, but, Chris took over in January, and he hasn't really, you got to give the guy time.
Right.
Get up to speed and get the lay of the land and see what's going on with everything. And now we're in May, so he's had a whole quarter. Right, even more. Almost, yeah, by the time we talk to him, it'll be almost half a year. Right. So he should have, a pretty good idea what's going on. So we'll definitely get Chris on the show at some point. We're going to get some of these NDA guys on the show at some point. Also, I had a chat with Bob Seneve, who's part of that North American Professional Dart Alliance.
Okay.
And he's going to have some announcements, so we're going to get him on the show. And
a lot of people to get on the show.
Well, plus, guess if anybody reads Bullseye News, if you want to turn to page 45, we have an ad in Bullseye News now.
Nice.
So
all right.
I heard it looked good. I haven't seen it, so if anybody has seen it, let me know how it looked. Yeah, we're totally up for that. So we're basically everywhere. Just a reminder, you can always email us, darttalk@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at darttalk. And you can get the podcast pretty much everywhere, right? iTunes,
right.
Stitcher.com.
Places I don't even know about.
TuneIn.com, right. And then we're going to keep posting the video up on YouTube, so by all means subscribe to the channel. There's a little button on top of the video. For the people that are in the chat room listening live, at least see the credits. Because the first one took me a long time to learn how to do this stuff.
A couple people said they liked it.
Did they?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's nice, and we got some compliments on the show. They said the production values are getting better and stuff. That's good. I mean,
they couldn't get any worse there for a little bit. Not blaming anybody. I'm just stating a fact.
Well, who on earth could you blame? Right.
Me?
No, but I'm always more about the content, and the stance thing. I didn't realize how controversial it was going to be. So you understand the thing about standard deviation, right?
A little bit.
I mean, like you play golf,
yes.
Right? If you hit a tee shot and on a par 3 and it's exactly 200 yards and you're 1 degree off of the flag and you hit it exactly 200 yards, you're going to be X number of feet from the green, right?
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Right. But if you hit it further, you're going to be further away.
Right.
I mean, it's not really, rocket science.
Rocket science.
Although technically they probably do use,
Science?
Yeah, in rocket science. I think so.
No, I do get it. I understand the concept. It's same thing with construction and
right.
Things being off level.
Right. Yeah. If you're off
if you're an eighth inch off a level in 4 feet, you're actually going to be longer than that in 16 feet.
Well, in fairness, let me. I will summarize his argument thusly. Okay,
Thusly.
he was saying that somebody eventually will adjust to that distance, and then it won't be an issue. And I kind of get that. It's like if you stand with your shoulder on the bullseye, dead center in front of the board, you're throwing at a shorter distance than somebody who's over at the side. But somebody who's over at the side, eventually, they're going to get used to it, and then, is it going to be a problem for them?
Well,
I think that was his point. But what I was telling him is like, look, all other things being equal, the same dart from further away is going to miss by more, right?
yes. If you misthrow it by...
Let's say, you throw it in the corner, and you just catch the corner. If you're 3 inches further away, it's a miss because your dart's off at going at just a slightly the wrong angle. But you do have a margin for error, so you'll hit it there. But if the same dart's thrown from 3 inches away, it's in the 111 or the 555 or whatever. That's the point. That's the only point I was trying to make. So why would you back up for no reason at all? And we summarize Steve's arguments for that. And especially, like, if you play soft tip, the soft tip line is 8 feet. If you're throwing the same dart, which some guys do, some guys will just change the tips and use the same darts they use for soft tip that they, when they're throwing at a steel board. Why not stand at 8 feet and keep everything kind of the same? It's just that, I don't know that you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, but you kind of are. I mean, if you're used to throwing at 8 feet, maybe it's not going to affect you. But, mathematically, there's, it's a disadvantage. It's like it's the equivalent of throwing at a smaller target. Why would you want to throw at a smaller target?
The target's smaller when you switch to steel anyway.
Well, you can't do anything about that,
right,
yeah.
Why would you want to be closer then?
Well, you would be.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you're used to throwing at 8 feet and you want to throw at 8 feet, okay, knock yourselves out. I don't think you're helping yourself, and it's not going to really bother anybody. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like if you're used to throwing at 8 feet and you just throw at 8 feet, knock yourself
your
out.
margin for error.
Yeah,
is what you're doing.
I just don't see. I mean, I'm trying to summarize the argument, and there's no way around this. So. Let's do the results from Cleveland. What do you say?
The results from Cleveland.
We've been waiting around for that.
All right.
Now, the first event there, it says Cleveland Killer.
Cleveland Killer.
That's one of those things where, and people have different names for it. They call it, in Chicago, they call it weakest link.
Oh, okay.
Where you're on a board with like 8 people, and you've got to beat whatever the score is of the person in front of you. Well, no, you beat the. You have to have a higher score than the guy before you, or you get a strike. 3 strikes and you're out.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that's what the Cleveland Killer was. So read it from the bottom. That's top 4, second and first.
Cleveland Killer, 4th place Bob Walton. 3rd is Luke Colias. Chip Carroll 2nd, and Gordon Dixon wins the Cleveland Killer.
Luke Colias, and
Colias.
That's top 4, not 3rd place. Or joint 3rd.
Oh, joint 3rd.
Right. Yippee-ki-yay. I'm messing you up already.
301 men's pro shoot. Top 4, Ron Miller, Bob Seneve, Steve Panuncialman gets 2nd, and Jim Widmeyer wins the 301 men's pro shoot. 301 women's pro shoot. Ann Kramer and Jennifer Ellert for 3rd and 4th. Sue Sells and Marlise Keel wins that one. Friday night blind draw. Joint 3rd. Is that what we're going with?
Either one's fine.
We're back
there's Canadian. There were a lot of Canadians there.
Now.
We could let's go. Just alternate between joint 3rd and top 4.
Joint 3rd for the blind draw. Bob Walton, Jason Seether. Is that correct? Steve Panuncialman and Rob Moffitt, and then 2nd place
Randy Moffitt.
Did I say Rob?
Yeah.
Sorry, Randy. John Kozlowski and Ray Carver get 2nd, and Steve Bojiak and Dave Jerkins win the Friday night blind draw. Mixed trips.
Yeah, they played. Steve Bojiak and Dave Jerkins played really well. They knocked us out. So well played to them.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Mixed trips 601. Top 4 are Steve Krajic. No, that's not right. Kratcher?
I think it's Krager.
Craig Shirk and Kay Hoover, Gordon Dixon, DJ Sayer, and Marlise Keel. 2nd goes to Kathy Solway, Seth Schatzel, and Chip Carroll. And 1st place goes to Robin Curry, Jim Widmeyer, and Darren Young. Ladies doubles cricket, Marcia Loach, Marilyn Pop.
Marcia Locke.
Locke. I should probably know that by now. Gloria Gutierrez and Kathy Salway for the joint third. And then second place goes to Deborah Lee Roberts and Maria Mason. And the winner is Kelly West and Robin Curry for ladies doubles cricket.
Yeah, I never met Maria before. She's a real good player. I think she's from Canada. And Deborah Lee played well all weekend, too. So well played to them.
All right. Men's doubles cricket. Joint third goes to Ron Miller and Seth Lodge, Jason Barlow and Steve Panucci-Allman. Second place is Jim Widmeyer, Darren Young, and Larry Butler and Bob Sneeve take men's doubles cricket. Ladies cricket singles, Kay Hoover and Gloria Gutierrez.
Yeah, that's top four. Kathy Selway second. And
Marilyn Pop.
Congratulations,
Ladies
Marilyn
singles.
Pop. Okay.
Men's cricket singles, Jim Widmeyer and Bob Sneeve for third and fourth. Larry Butler second, and Ray Carver. Congratulations to him for men's cricket singles. Saturday blind draw, joint third, Dan Carroll and Pudge with Steve Kracher and Mark Vlasti. Larry Butler, Randy Moffitt for second, and Jason Barlow and Rich Neiman.
Rich Neiman.
Rich Neiman.
Yeah. Ask me about him.
Makes you laugh.
I'm pretty sure he hates me.
Okay. Mixed doubles, third and fourth, Jason, and that's it. And Jason and Ruth Kenny. Is there no last name for Jason?
Yeah, it just says Jason.
Okay. Jason. Steve Panucci-Allman and Jill Hutchinson for join the
well played,
third
Jill
one.
Hutchinson.
Well
yes.
played, Jill Hutchinson. And then second place mixed doubles, Gloria Gutierrez, Kevin Yasenchek.
Yeah.
And Darren Young and Trish Grzyk win mixed doubles. Men's 501 doubles, Kevin Yasenchek and Brian Plum. John Thevenin and Dennis Backus, third and fourth. Jim Widmeyer, Darren Young for second. And Larry Butler and Bob Sneeve win men's 501 doubles. Ladies 501 doubles, Kathy Salway and Gloria Gutierrez with Marlise Keel and Trish Grzyk for third and fourth. Marcia Locke and Marilyn Pop get second, and first place goes to Kim Keller and Sue Sells. Men's 501 singles, Darren Young and Gordon Dixon for third and fourth. Larry Butler, and then Bob Sneeve wins men's 501 singles. Ladies 501 singles, joint third goes to Deborah Lee Roberts and Ruth Kenny, and then Kelly West second, and Marilyn Pop is your winner in ladies 501 singles.
Okay, so that's results from the Cleveland Extravaganza. Marilyn Pop swept the women's singles. Did Bob and Larry win both the doubles?
They were men's doubles.
Did they win the cricket and the 5-0?
Men's doubles 501.
All right, so Larry and Bob won
Yes,
both. They knocked us out twice, me and Jay Barlow. So they were playing pretty good. I chalked some of the matches because I was out in the first round of the 501 because I can't apparently take out 40 in 9 darts. Which is funny because...
That doesn't happen that often.
Well, no, because I was telling you, Rich Neiman hates me.
Right.
He was killing me in the 301 singles, and I took out in consecutive legs a 128 and a 129.
Which makes him hate you even more.
Well, it's kind of like, what, are you kidding me, dude?
Yeah.
And then I can't take out 40. Somebody explain, go ahead, chat room, explain how I managed to mess that up. Let's take a quick, we'll take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be right back.
How old is Wrigley anyway? Do you even have electricity?
It's powered by tradition, my friend. Something you wouldn't know about at Mobile Phone Park.
Someone should trim those weeds on your outfield walls.
It's called Ivy, as in Ivy League.
Or bush, as in bush league.
The only cleaning up your cleanup hitters know about involves cleaning supplies.
Is that your team ERA or your shoe size?
Your infield has more holes than a Swiss cheese donut.
The last Cub to throw a no-hitter was your pitching machine.
Even our handsomely coiffed ex-governor wouldn't try to sell a White Sox seat.
Last time your leadoff hitter got to second base was at his high school prom.
You know, I've heard that for the White Sox, DH stands for don't have talent.
Have talent is one word.
Yes, it is.
Do you realize your great-great-great-great-grandfather wasn't even born the last time the Cubs won a series?
You see this C? Stands for Chicago. All you got on your head is a stocking. Something puppies like to chew on for recreation.
Your logo is a cute little baby bear. I feel like I should give it to my daughter for her birthday.
Cubs are the strong foundation from which grows a mighty beast.
Wrigleyville isn't even real Chicago. Once you get north of Division Street, you might as well be in Wisconsin. Can't even get a decent slice of pizza. I had better pizza in New York. Sorry.
T-bowing, insanity, planking, owling, Coney 2012. Trends spread across our nation as quick as wildfires, but fade even faster. If you or someone you know suffers from following trends, remember that no matter how hard you try to get rid of the evidence, chances are someone has proof. So the next time you think about jumping on a trend, remember how embarrassed you were when you found that video of your mom doing the Macarena. You're gonna have kids someday. Don't let that be you.
Hi, this is Andrea Taylor from Dallas, Texas, and you're listening to Dart Talk.
Okay, and we're back. Brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also thanks to Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. Don't forget, you can always email us, darttalk@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at darttalk. Find us on YouTube, Ustream, TuneIn.com, Stitcher.com, DotsAroundTheWorld.com, anywhere else.
Like us on Facebook. I think you missed.
Yeah, like us on, we have our own page. Just search Dart Talk on Facebook and you'll find us, and you can stop in there. We always post links to the show there if you want to do some catching up. iTunes is probably the way to go.
Right.
Or TuneIn.com is good if you have a BlackBerry like me.
Thanks to the chat room, we have confirmation that Jason is Jason DeMars.
Oh, yeah, Jason Demers and Ruth Kenny.
With Ruth Kenny. That was fourth in the mixed double, tied for third and fourth in the mixed doubles.
Right. Of course, we did run the disclaimer, but we disavow anything.
Right.
I mean, these are the results we got, and I didn't have the presence of mind to figure out who the other Jason was. So, smartest chat room in the business. Thank you very much. So get this. This is hilarious. Right. My girlfriend Jill works harder at darts than anybody I know. She really wants to improve, and she does the best she can. And she has that quality that all good players have, because she will literally work at it until she gets it right. And so we were practicing before Cleveland, and I kept telling her, because, we're talking about alignment issues and stuff. And to be honest, sometimes some of the stuff that I talk about on the show comes from Coach and Jill. So I was telling her that she was lined up. She was going for the 20, and she threw like a 12. And I'm like, you're lined up that way. That's where your arm is pointing. And she's like, no, it isn't. And then she threw like a ton or something. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, how can this be? Her arm is pointing almost to the double 11, and she's throwing it into the 20. And I'm like, how on earth is this possible? So, and this is at a local qualifier for like the ADO Nationals and stuff like that. So I get two guys. I get Joe Devani, and I forget who the other guy was. I'm like, hey, come here a second. Look at Joe. Like, where's her arm pointing? And they look at her, and it's pointing at the 11. So now I'm confused. How can your arm be pointing at the 11 and you're throwing it into the 20? I am like literally like, what could she possibly be doing? So I get in front of her, right? And I'm standing kind of where a chalker would stand, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, I don't understand how this is physically possible. So finally, I'm like, stop. I'm like, straighten your arm out. And so she holds her arm out like this, right?
Yeah.
And you can see it on the video. Just hold your arms palm up, straight out. And then I look, and her arm, from the elbow to the wrist, takes like a right turn.
No, it doesn't.
And I'm like, it does. And it takes a right turn by like 15 degrees. And I'm like, wait a minute. You have a crooked arm.
Has she ever dislocated her elbow before?
I have no idea, but I'm like, that explains it. And literally, I have been confused by this off and on for over a year. I am like, how on earth can you line up one way and throw a dart another way? How is that physically possible? Well,
so now you have to let
your arm's crooked.
She
That's
has to
why.
line up that way.
And then she's like, well, all this time you've been telling me my arm's not
now
like
you have
lined
to
up.
find
And I'm
out-
like, well, I didn't. No, so literally,
You
I
have to
took
find out if there's other people out there with crooked arm syndrome.
Well, I can think of 3 right away because I'm like, I said, Joe Devon, I'm like, Joe, straighten your arm out. I look, his arm's crooked. I'm like, what is this? Right. So I go to the next guy, straighten your arm out, dead straight. Now I'm confused. So we're on our way home. I'm like, let's get a beer. So we stop. 2 strangers in the bar, a girl and a guy. I'm like, do me a favor. This is going to sound like really weird, and I'm not hitting on you or anything, but I want to look at your arm. Would you straighten it out? And she's like, drunk enough to say yes. So she does it, and sure enough, her arm is even more crooked. And I'm just like, okay, I don't get this. So the guy's next to her. I'm like, can you show me your arm? He's like, sure, dead straight. So we have to add to the disclaimer now that all of our tips are contingent on you not having crooked limbs or something. I mean, honestly, it's. Are you kidding me with this stuff? So that was a learning experience that I found like totally rocking my world.
So do you think you'll be able to help her out more now that you know she has a crooked arm? Or do you think she's just screwed?
She threw a 9-dart 301 game on me last night.
Nice.
We went and played for a little while. Yeah, so hopefully, everything takes work. I mean, it's just sort of, but I got an email from somebody because apparently I dissed cricket. Did I diss cricket?
No, you didn't diss cricket. You just said, well, yeah, you probably did, actually.
I'm sick of playing it.
You just don't like cricket anymore. You prefer 501. You said it's a better game.
Well, I'm sick of playing cricket, and to be honest with you, cricket takes far less skill than 501 does.
That would be where you dissed cricket.
Is that where I dissed it? Well, now, okay, the common sense is that in cricket, you're only shooting at 7 spots on the board, and if you play 501, you're shooting at what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 82.
Right.
Oh, we're on 82 again. I want to get off
with
82. Actually, it's more like 62. I mean, because you can't count the fats twice, right? There's singles, doubles, and triples on every number. That's 60 plus 2 bulls, so it's 62.
Right.
But you literally have to shoot at every single segment on the board. And I'll tell you, I blew the final in the pro singles on Friday night against Jimmy Widmeyer. He had the diddle in the last leg, but I had a whack at 87. I threw a fat 17 to leave 70, went for the trip 20, and threw it in the 1.
Right.
Or triple 1 or whatever it was, and never got to the line again. So it's like, had I thrown a fat 20, at least I got a whack at the bull, right?
Yeah.
But again, I missed the fat 20. Can't do that. In cricket, who cares? It's a 1 count if you miss the triple, right? I mean...
Yeah, but it also depends
And this is not to say that there's like many, many, many fine cricket players.
Do you think though
that can play 501 if they wanted to?
Right. Do you think that a little bit of difference in cricket though is cricket you're like 501 you're really playing the board. Cricket you're playing your opponent.
Oh, I just think all the strategy stuff is overrated. If you hit what you're aiming at, do you win? Pretty much you do.
Well, yeah, if you're going to go up there and throw a 9 mark every time.
I mean, there's some common sense stuff, and by all means, don't throw at a closed number, but and there's some things you can do. There's some things you could do in cricket, and the reason a lot of people like cricket is because there's more variety to it. You can do things in a different way. To which I say, well, you could do different things in 501 too. I don't know how many times I've ended up shooting 19s for a leg and a half. I don't know how many times, I've shot what looks like unusual cover shots. There's plenty of ways to take out this, that, and the other thing. You can be creative about it. Like on 67, most people automatically go for the 17.
Right.
I don't, because I don't want to be forced to make a decision. I don't want to be on 50. I don't want to be on 50 with 2 darts.
Right.
And then decide, is it the 10, the 18, or the bull, or something like that. I don't want to have to think about it. So I go for the 999 to leave tops. And if I miss it, I'm on 58, and it's like bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing with 66. A lot of people go for the 14, which is a very creative way to do it. It's not terribly intuitive, but I'm not recommending on 70 anybody go for the trip 14, but people do it.
Right.
I mean, on
I
72.
Trip 10 on 62.
Yeah, I'm off
like
that.
that either?
I don't really like it. I don't. On 66. On 66. I try not to leave 66, but I don't know. I like going for the bull on 66.
All right.
I try to get myself onto familiar territory as quickly as I can in 5-0, and that's one way to do it. If you throw a single bull, you're on 41. How many times you taken out 41? Like 3,000. I mean,
right. Hit the double, you got 16.
Yeah, and what you're trying to do, especially when you're playing doubles and stuff, is stay off this exotic stuff. And just meat and potatoes. Right. Leave double 16. What's the big deal? Leave tops.
You're going to end up missing more anyway. At numbers you don't throw out that often.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at a guy like Larry Butler, like I told you I took out the 119 on Larry. Next leg, he took out a 117 with, what did he trip? He went trip 20, fat 19, double 19. So I think he must have went for the 19 first.
Oh.
So he went like single 19, trip 20, double 19, which is, awfully great shot because, you don't want to move that much, and here he is moving all over the board, and they go in. So, but I mean, that's Larry. I mean, not as many. There aren't too many people who play as well as him. So, I mean, you have to factor in your ability when you're trying to figure out some of these things. That's keep it simple.
Well, that's why you talk about from the mathematical aspect.
Exactly.
Give yourself the best chance to win.
Right.
Giving yourself the best amount of darts. At the same number. Or that you're good at.
Well, and that's why I was telling these guys, I'm like, look, I don't do all these calculations like when I'm playing. I mean, I sat in a quiet room and figured this stuff out a while ago, and you kind of add to it and stuff like that. I mean, you need to have you need to be systematic about it so you don't have to think about this stuff.
Right.
You think about this stuff. I mean, Lord knows, I probably think way more than I'm supposed to when I play, and it doesn't help me at all. It makes it worse. I mean, you gotta keep it simple when you're playing. But this whole notion about cricket, it's kind of strange because it is kind of the American game. We are Americans,
right?
So, but the international standard is 501. So if you're talking about Americans becoming world champions, you can't do it with cricket because the world doesn't play cricket. Only we do.
Right.
So why are we playing cricket? And I understand that people think it's fun and that there's some variety to it that maybe they don't see in 5-0. But, I mean, you're still throwing at triples. You do the same thing in 5-0. You want to throw a triple 17? Go ahead. It's less points, but,
But you can do it.
Yeah, what difference does it
make? Did you get a lot of flack, though, for dissing cricket, apparently?
Well, I did. I don't know.
Or is the argument for a bunch of Americans that aren't going to be professionals that they would prefer cricket because they're...
It's the recreational players that enjoy playing it that I'm like, well, go ahead and play it then. But, it's the people that want to get good and want to compete with everybody. And I tell them, you play 501 and you practice 501. You don't practice cricket. Cricket's just throwing at triples. If you're practicing 501, you throw at them anyway.
Right.
Right? What does Adrian Lewis do? He starts at 80, takes out 80, then he takes out 81, takes out 82, goes all the way up to 120 and back. If you do that, you're throwing at every cricket triple anyway. So what are you going to practice? The hard part for me is like I played with Jason Barlow in Cleveland over the weekend. I've never played with him before. I've played against him a couple of times, but he doesn't play the same kind of cricket I do. Like,
I don't think most people do.
Well, he doesn't see the game the same way I do either. He always how do you put this? Because he's a great player and he plays with a lot of confidence where he'll take shots that some people would say are low percentage shots or hero shots, and he thinks he can hit them and he does. So okay, great. He hit what did he hit? Trip 6, trip 5, double 19 to win us a leg in the top 8 of the doubles, right? And it was like one of the best shots I've ever seen. And the fact that he went for the double cracked me up.
Right.
Right? Well, it's bigger than the triple, and we only needed 2, right?
Yeah.
So why not go for the double? That was the other thing on 82. Now, 2 people have said, well, why don't you just go for the double 16 on your first start and then go double 16, double bull? And I'm like, well, I guess. You need to hit them both. I mean, I would never do that. But
you can only miss on one side.
Yeah, well, You can't miss anyway.
Right.
You're on 82
Well,
with 2
that's true.
darts.
You
You
have
can't
two darts,
miss.
you can't
You
miss.
got no margin for error.
Right.
That's Darren's argument, is that because you have no margin for error, you should go for the 14. And that's it. I am done
No
with
more.
82.
No more.
No more 82, although I did take a picture of an 82 I took out yesterday with a double bull and a double 16 that I was going to post
You
on
posted?
his. Yeah, I didn't post it yet. I didn't get time, but pretty sure Darren will be
All right.
seeing that
we
pretty
can,
soon.
We can put that one to bed, though, I would hope.
Yeah, throwing at doubles in cricket is sort of like you're not supposed to do it. I used to just do it on the 15 and the 16 was the only time I would throw it at double, and now it's like it's a mood thing. If I'm ahead or I'm desperate, I'll do it. Other than that, nah.
So,
I don't
unlike
do it.
when he hit the double 19, you would have gone for the triple?
You
only need 2?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right.
Because I so seldom throw at the double 19. And that was part of the reason, we're talking about like the, warming up and stuff. I always used to hit every double on the board warming up. So if I came across it, I wouldn't be like, geez, I haven't hit this in a while.
Right.
Because you end up, who knows, especially playing doubles, blind draws, you end up on double 17. I mean, that isn't something that anybody sets up. I mean, soft tippers are probably used to it, right? Because if they play 0-1,
Yeah.
if they play this open in where the bullseye's worth 50,
Right.
they end up on 101, and that's like trip 17 bull. But if you single the 17, if you go bull first, and then you go for the triple 17
Right,
to
you're
win,
Gonna hit it, you're going to have to hit a double.
and you hit a single, then you have to hit the double. So they probably throw at double 17 way more than a
lot
steel
more.
player. A steel player only does it when somebody goofed
Right.
or made a mistake or something like that, right? So, I mean, for the soft tippers, I assume it's different. Although the pros don't play that all the time
Right.
either. That whole you can triple out stuff. I mean, remember we did that thing for the tournament in Florida, and we couldn't figure out what that
Right.
meant. That's
Just
what that meant.
Yeah.
That's what that single out
Single out,
means.
double
You can,
out, right.
if you're on 17, you could throw a fat 17,
Right.
which is like, yeah, let's take all the skill out of the game. Spend all this time to hit doubles, and I got to play somebody who doesn't have to hit one. I mean, they do that in steel tip youth events.
Okay.
Right, with the kids, like they're under 12 and they can open out. Okay, well that's fine. I mean, they're kids. I mean,
Right.
they need a chair to get their darts. You really want to make them hit a double?
Be here forever?
Well, it's not like they don't have the stamina.
Right.
So I don't know. So if I offended anybody by saying I don't like cricket, sorry, but I'm so sick of it.
Well, we'll just leave it at the fact that you just 501's the pro game and cricket's the recreational game. Is that
Well,
bad?
I
Is
don't.
that bad enough?
No, I wouldn't say that at all. I think what's going to happen is in about 7 months, I'm going to be on this show saying, I'm so sick of 501. I can't wait to play cricket. So maybe it's a mood thing. I don't know. We should preview. Well, okay, everybody's traveling this weekend. I think all the tournament players are going to be out.
Okay.
You got the Pac-Mania in California.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, we've talked about that. I wish everybody luck with that one and safe travels to L.A. If anybody wants a good hangout in L.A., just Facebook me, and I'll send you some addresses because I used to live like 10 minutes from the venue. That's what's killing me, that I can't
you're not going?
Well, I was trying to tell somebody, I lived in California for 10 years. When I fly to California, the minute I step off the plane, I feel like I'm home. Do you ever travel somewhere and you get off the plane and it just feels like you're somewhere else? That never happens when I go to
Right.
California.
That's
But it
'cause you know it,
happens.
right.
First time I went to South Carolina, I was like, this feels different somehow.
Right. Well, that's because you know where you're going once you get off the plane.
I don't know, something like that. And then we've got Blueberry in St. Louis. The Blueberry Hill tournament is.
Is that where you're going?
Yeah, I'm going to Blueberry because that was Jill's thing. Jill really wanted to play. She almost won it last year. She made it to the finals.
Oh,
and She
okay.
wants to. The Blueberry one is cool because if you win the Sunday singles, they put your picture up. Like they got like a little
Where?
Hall of Fame of winners in
Oh.
the bar. So it's kind of cool. And the people that have won it lately, like Bruce Davey won it last year. I know he's stoked for going back. Conley Litton won it the year before. He's stoked for coming back. And the funny thing was Larry Butler has never won the Sunday singles. He was telling me this because I played with him last year, and I think he's probably going to go to L.A. this year. But he was saying, yeah, I've won like 11 singles matches or 11 singles titles at the Blueberry Hill tournament because it goes back like 20 years or something, but he's never won on Sunday. And they switched it, I don't know when, a couple of years ago, to 301. So now it's a 301 singles on
Okay.
Sunday to get your picture on the wall. So
All right.
I know Brenda will be going. Brenda Roush will be going to St. Louis. I'm pretty sure. I'll see Ralph McCool. He's going. Chuck Pankow's going to St. Louis, and then I'm pretty sure everyone else is going to Los Angeles. So, yeah, we're kind of jealous about that. We don't really have time to start talking about stroke, although I heard a lot of stuff about that too. So, what we're going to
that's why we're doing this. We're
getting
everybody involved.
We said it was a class project, and it's going to be a class project. So we'll get back on stroke next week, and also I'll have somebody who was in Texas call in the show and tell us about that Bullathon. What do you think? You think we should try to get something together for that? What do you think?
It's a good idea. I think there's a lot of positives about it, with all the things you could do with the charity, with the interest and just being able to try and do something that.
Well, here's
you're trying to break a record.
Yeah, here's what I'm thinking.
You're getting darts. The more people try it, the more the name of darts is getting out there.
All right, let me run this by you, okay? Because for people that don't know, Mystery Mark, I never see the guy. I only see him on Tuesdays. So, but here's what I'm thinking. What if we did it in like some public place outside of like a bar or something? Like I'm thinking, let's do it in the lobby of a downtown office building and do it during business hours so people can walk by and see us. And then you're taking darts out of the bar and presenting it as a real sport, and because it's a world record thing, that'll get us some attention.
Right.
And then we'll do it in August when there's like nothing else going on, right before pro football starts and baseball season.
Yeah, you'd have preseason.
See what I'm saying?
That's all you got for pro football.
What do you think of that? You think that would?
I think that'd
be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pick a good charity and then promote it, because these guys did a great job.
Right.
In Texas. I'm totally jealous. I don't want to like cop their whole act or anything. But at the same time, I mean, there are so many good players around here in Chicago. I mean, Chicago used to have one of the best tournaments in the country.
What did the people in England do? Did they just try and break the record as opposed to what everybody in Texas actually,
Yeah, I think they were sort of like, hey, let's give it a try. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know who did it, because they had like a pretty important tournament for the pros. It was like a UK Open qualifier. So unless it was like 8 guys that were like BDO players, and I asked around, I couldn't really find any information on this. I kind of like heard it yesterday, and I was like, wow, I don't know what to make of this, but I'm glad they didn't break it.
Right.
But I think if we could find a worthy charity,
right,
and get 8 guys that can throw bullseyes really, really fast, I think we could do it. I mean, they got pretty close.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure they're like thinking that next time they're going to do it.
Which they should. Now they know what they were up against. They know. I mean, the first time you do something and you just don't realize how fast you have to throw. There's pressure to hit them. Maybe they'd be more relaxed. They would know exactly what they're up against.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an odd thing to do.
Right.
I mean, who goes around trying to break a world record for bullseyes? I mean, it's not the...
You don't get together and say, all right, we're going to practice and see how many we can hit before we actually go up and break the record. Who's got time to do that?
I don't know. I'm going to give this some more thought, but I think it just sounds like so much fun. It just sounds like a fantastic thing to do.
Yeah, and I don't think you're stealing anything from them. I mean,
I hope not. I mean,
all they're doing is they're just presenting something, and they're doing something good, and everybody's realizing that it's a good idea.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is it's a great way to promote the sport of darts in general, especially if you pull it out of a bar. It's like I was telling you. Remember, I was telling you about how I was at like the computer store, and there eventually 8 people were watching, or were playing like the video game darts and stuff, and it's like people don't see it, so they kind of don't know about. Everybody knows about darts, but nobody really. It's out of everybody's mind. If you could put it outside of a bar where everybody could see it, and then you're doing something for charity and it's a world record, how does that not promote the entire sport? How do we not get like nationwide media attention? Like I was saying that Curtin and Sawyer ought to take a dartboard and go over to ESPN and set it up in the lobby. That's kind of where I got the idea.
And
it's like, or do the thing in the ESPN studio or something where we're getting like big exposure for the sport itself.
Right.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So I'll look into this. Maybe we can figure something out.
It's a good idea.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give it some more thought. Got anything else?
Not that I could think of.
Okay, we'll have results next week from Pacquiao and from Blueberry Hill. We'll get the youth results from Cleveland, and also I'll try to get the results. There was a tournament in Newfoundland over the weekend, and I couldn't really get the results in time. So we'll try to get as many Canadian results as we can, because we got a lot of Canadians that come over and play. So, and we got Canadians listening to the show. So we'll give them give them some results.
We'll give them some results, eh?
Yeah, it's a busy month. I mean, it's like tournaments every weekend.
Yeah.
We gotta do something about getting the tournaments spread out a little bit. Like April was dead, May's jammed. And then June's going to be kind of dead, but then July's jammed, and then August is okay, I got to show you this flyer. Next week we're going to talk about the Firecracker tournament in Chattanooga, 4th of July weekend, because they have done something really, really, really unique that I am dying to. I got to get one of their people on the phone to figure out how they came up with it. It's almost a winner-take-all tournament. They're paying $1,000 to the winners of the singles and the doubles, but they're only like paying top 4, and I think top 8's like $20. So it's a totally top-heavy payout thing. And I showed the flyer to a bunch of guys. I'm like, have you seen this thing? Because I had it in Cleveland, and everybody's looking at it like, wow, look at this.
Right.
But are the locals going to play? And that's what we'll have to talk next week about how to encourage more locals to purchase, because we're running out of it. We're already over, so we're going to have to wrap it up for today. But we're going to have to talk about that next week, if you could remind me. We got to talk about how to encourage more local participation in tournaments and stuff like that. So let's say goodbye to everybody.
Good
thanks,
luck to everybody in your tournaments this weekend. And
yeah, thanks everybody in the chat room and everybody listening or watching us on YouTube. We'll be back next week, and until then, safe travels, and we'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely.